Hello again, everybody. Ben Joravsky here. We're calling this a Long Lines Tuesday, and here's why. Adolfo Mondragón, the excellent attorney from the south side of Chicago, is standing by to talk about all kinds of things. Cesar Chavez, Netanyahu, long lines, everything. We have so much on our plate. I don't know if we'll get to all. We'll get to definitely those first two categories. The long lines allude, of course, to the lines of travelers at airports who are waiting to get through the security gates to board their planes and fly to wherever they're going. It's an essential part of the economy, being able to move people effortlessly or more or less effortlessly from one city to the other. It's really sort of one of the great American success stories, you could argue, from our capitalist system. Actually, I'm already turning against that argument as soon as I say it. So just forget I said it was a great success story. But it more or less works. I say this as someone who travels regularly to see family in California. And Adolfo and I were just talking about taking a trip to Mexico City someday. And I was like, oh, yeah, I can't wait. Let's go. And then I thought, oh, my God, sitting in that long line. And, of course, the long line is a result of Donald Trump's utter breakdown, his refusal to compromise, his refusal to negotiate with Democrats, the money that goes to salaries for the folks who clear you through security has been tied up in negotiations. And so as a result, they are not getting paid. If they're not getting paid, they're not going to go to work. I don't blame them. You got to pay somebody to work. So as a result, there's not enough people to run the Homeland Security, the points and checkpoints. And so they're going to bring in ICE agents. It's like a bad, dark comedy. They're going to bring in the goon squad to get you through the airports. It's utter madness. The goon squad gets paid. So this is part of the breakdown in our system. Again, Donald Trump just absolutely refuses to negotiate. He says, don't make any deal. That's the headline in the paper. This is kind of lost in the headlines regarding the war that he's launched in Iran as well. And so I'm watching this utter madness, folks. It's bringing back memories of like when Bruce Rauner ran the state of Illinois, and he commanded that there would be no deals. They would not back away in any way on the issue of destroying collective bargaining rights in the state of Illinois. And as a result, they wouldn't pass a budget. As a result of that, the state went without a budget for 4 years. And really, the Republican Party has not really survived that since, Pritzker was elected, defeated Rauner, and the Republican Party in Illinois, which is already pretty weak, I should say, has not really climbed back. I will point out that this stalemate is taking place as we begin the gubernatorial election, which is in this state, already 8 months off, but the primary was last week, and Darren Bailey will be running against J.B. Pritzker. And Darren Bailey is positioning himself as the new Darren Bailey, the get along Darren Bailey. He's not going to make fun of Chicago, not going to mock Chicagoans, not going to make Chicago the enemy. We have to get along. We have to work together. And I always have problems with the work together rhetoric employed by moderate Democrats and Republicans, because down through the years, they worked together to pass legislation that by and large I didn't like, especially in taxing issues. Nonetheless, we have a democracy. It's supposed to function this way. There's checks and balances, and they reach deals. There's compromises. People have to concede. I understand that. I've been watching this for a long time, but Trump doesn't concede. I maybe Adolfo can help me figure out an issue in which Trump has conceded, definitely in the second term. I can't think of one. He fights to the very end. The courts turn against him, and then he debates whether he's just going to ignore the ruling of a court, or he'll just plow ahead with a new initiative on the grounds that, well, this one hasn't been declared illegal yet by the courts. So he fights it again. I can't think of one issue that Donald Trump has conceded on. And I just can't at the moment. So listeners, if you could think of one, definitely in this second term, go ahead. So this notion, politically speaking, in this day and age, that we could have like a sort of an old-fashioned, we all get along kind of bipartisanship is total fantasy and delusion. I mean, this is unthinkable that the president of the United States, the leader, in this case of the Republican Party, would allow our airport system to malfunction the way it is, to break down the way it is, to the point where he's got to send in the goon squad just to keep it going. And I don't have any confidence in their ability to keep it going. So I don't know where it's going to end. I do know that Trump is perfectly capable, as Adolfo and I were saying before the show in our private chat, that he's perfectly capable of changing his mind from one day to the next, creating some scapegoat to blame for changing his mind, or claiming he never said what he said in the first place, or claiming that he came up with some magical way of breaking through a logjam that only he could do. All this. And so, Donnie, just do one of those moves, okay? Just do one of those things where you make something up and brag about how great you are and only you could achieve it. And the Republicans will all be nodding their head. Oh, yeah, Donnie's great. I love Donnie. Just so we can get the airline industry going in this country again. And we get the economy back to working more or less the way it should be. And at least on this one front, we'll have a little less madness. All right, without further ado, I'm going to bring on the great Adolfo Mondragón. Adolfo, I know you weren't expecting to talk about this. Before we move on to the things we were scheduled to talk about, namely the utter insanity of some of these conspiracy theories you're seeing on the internet, which I'm always open to discussing. Do you have any thoughts on this current breakdown at the airports and Trump's role in it?
Yeah, I think people, I hope, will realize that this is all the makings of the buck stops with Trump, essentially, because he's had many opportunities to remedy this particular situation with the airports and the TSA while they negotiate the stuff that he's still holding out on with these ICE agents. But I think it's such a, I don't know if irony is the correct word, but having these ICE agents now go into airports and evidently, well, according to their boss, they're not there to do TSA jobs. They're just there to help with things like security so that the TSA guys can do their jobs more effectively or efficiently or whatever, is really rich, because here you have the TSA that is well funded, overly funded. I mean, like, their budget is so robust that you could fund many other agencies and departments in the government. And this goon squad, as you call them, because they are a goon squad, is they're being paid to essentially overlook people from the TSA who are working without pay, have been working without pay for many, many weeks, and are working hard, only to have a goon squad come in there that is being fully paid to essentially do nothing to support them or help them out with their work. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, the TSA agents are not getting paid. The Goon Squad ICE agents are getting paid, and the ICE agents don't know how I can see. I'm going to say this: they've not demonstrated ability to do anything meaningful that would help overall society since they've come out in full force with Donald Trump's second term. I put that out there. Like, a TSA agent can operate the security system that keeps the airlines moving, and they can do that effectively. And they do it without wearing masks. They do it without being armed. They do it without arresting people and bullying people and knocking them down to the floor or to the ground, at swearing and cursing at people. Okay, they somehow or other managed to go about their business, overseeing the processing of thousands and thousands of people every day, Adolfo, without doing. They're not getting paid.
They're not getting paid, exactly.
But the Goon Squad with the masks getting paid.
So I hope it shows the MAGA crowd how absurd the funding priorities of this government are. That they gladly appropriate tons of money for these, unprofessional, unprepared individuals that are cosplaying like if they were in some military overseeing, some foreign individuals in their own country, right? But they won't fund regular day people who are doing their best to protect the security of our airports and our airline system.
All right,
It's
so now
it's
you
crazy.
raised the question, whether this breaks through, the steel that encases the MAGA man's mind. So let me ask you this, as I point out on the show many times, my dear friend Monroe Anderson is America's foremost authority on white people. I turn to him whenever I need an explanation for the behavior of white people. I have many foremost authorities on this show. I cannot operate without them. You are, whether you realize it or not, America's foremost authority on Hispanic people who vote MAGA.
Have some of
Particularly
them
the
in my
subset.
family. Have some of
Yeah.
them in my family.
Personal experience. He studied them up close, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So, as America's foremost authority on Hispanic people who actually vote MAGA, even though MAGA expresses a insane hatred of Hispanic people. Let's just pause and think of that for a moment. Uh, have you noticed a shift? Like you talked about the MAGA mindset. Have you noticed a shift of Hispanic MAGA voters saying, he may have gone too far in this instance? Go ahead, Mr. Authority.
Not much of a shift, I'll tell you that. Which I mean, the gas prices haven't dented the opinion of some of these Hispanic MAGA individuals, and I don't know what can. I mean, people are drinking that Kool-Aid, and they must be like experiencing a very nice high off of it because it's just denial. And so, no, I mean, God knows what will eventually crack through that
Okay.
metal, whatever you called it, metal,
The encasement that surrounds their brains, protecting them from any other information that doesn't already feed their view of the world.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I
and
guess
then,
the only people that it will touch are those mangas who work in TSA, and they're going to be bitching and moaning about not getting paid, and anyone who has a family member who works uh in that field. But outside of that, unless it hits your pocket
oh yeah.
very, it hits your pocket directly, people are just always going to give excuses.
Oh well, okay. We'll move on to the topic I really want to talk with you. But this goes back to the cuts and when Trump first took office, and they were gleeful. MAGA was gleeful remember Musk and Donnie tag
Yeah.
teaming to fire thousands of federal employees. I'm like, what? Don't you care about their families? You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
impact of just firing people. You're like gleeful. You're happy about it. It's like a twisted movement. The MAGA movement is like a really weird movement, man. Very
all wrapped up in apparent or purportedly Christian values.
Christian values.
It's become very
Wow.
Christian to laugh at your enemies and
I laugh and mock.
mock individuals,
Yeah.
and it's just it's a wonder what they've done to Christian values. But
Yeah,
anyway.
man. And yeah, right. Like fucking the lunatic Hexeth who's running the war. God, have you watched one of his press conferences?
Yeah.
Oh man, God. We're raging. We're not scared. We're bombing and killing. This is the killing. Man, dude, take a pill, man.
But he's doing this all by spouting like that somehow it's like a holy war for us or
Yeah,
something.
it's a whole war. And hating on Muslims. It's like a very weird, perverse thing. All right. So I'm gonna flip a coin, as I like
Uh-huh.
to do, to determine which theory we're gonna discuss first. The Cesar
Okay.
Chavez one, which is new to me. I was actually going to talk about Chavez or Netanyahu one, and it's Chavez wins. And let's talk about Chavez. We'll get to Netanyahu, ladies and gentlemen. Adolfo got me down this path. I'm cursing him every day. I follow it. But All right. So last week, the story broke. The New York Times broke the story of horrendous accusations against Cesar Chavez of rape, sexual assault against 12-year-old girls. And Dolores Huerta, his longtime ally in the struggle for the farm workers union, she came forward and said he raped her at one point, forced her to have sex at another point. He impregnated her twice. She brought the kids to birth, and then she had them put up for adoption. And in the aftermath, all over the country, cities and unions were taking down the signs honoring Chavez, who died in 1993. Adolfo, I think it's been that long since he died, and changing the name of roads and buildings, et cetera, and so forth. And the story has largely faded from the newspapers. People move on to other things that are horrific happening right now, like the war in Iran. But I first of all want to ask you your thoughts and just general what Cesar Chavez meant to you, means to you, and how this changed. And then we'll get into the undercurrent of a counter, how do I put this? A counter view of the situation that you turned me onto on the internet, where they're making Cesar Chavez out to be the victim.
Right.
It's like, wow, man, the internet is a piece of work. When I say the internet,
Yeah.
I'm talking about human beings are the ones who actually the
Well,
twisted
my
people.
appreciation of Chavez, I didn't acquire that till later in life. Actually, probably like in the last 10 years. Even after his death, I wasn't like he never, for me individually, was never a like a very big hero for me. I think part of it is there's a couple of reasons for that. One is generational. I think that his movement or the height of his movement in the 70s is something that I didn't grow up experiencing because I was born in the 70s. Um, so I didn't grow up in that reality, right? In that social, political, cultural reality. So I didn't have that firsthand experience of living the movement, right? Second, it's regional because Cesar Chavez is from California and
Mhm.
represents Mexicans in the United States of a different generation. And so he comes around the Chicano movement, which for me, as someone from the Midwest, with a different Mexican immigrant history than the immigrants in California that have a far longer history of being in this country, many more generations than the ones in Chicago. Although the ones in Chicago, have been here, the earliest ones have been here since like the 1890s or something like that, before
Mhm.
the turn of the century. So regionally, it's different because what the term Chicano means to people in the West Coast and Southwest is different from what it means to Mexicans who are immigrants or of immigrant parents that grew up like from the Midwest, or the few that grew up in the East Coast. Now there's a much larger population in the East Coast, but when I was growing up, there was very few people in the East Coast. And so that term Chicano, to me growing up, kind of hit me bluntly in that I didn't embrace it because Chicano to me meant a separate identity from being either Mexican or being American. There was a third and individualistic thing called Chicano. And growing up, I very much felt, even though, and we've had discussions about this off the phone, but every immigrant kid, whether you're Mexican or Indian or Chinese or whatever, if you're first generation, you're going to have identity issues growing up. What does it mean to be of immigrant parents in America? Are you American or are you Chinese or are you Mexican? But because of those conflicts, for me, the resolution of it was, and to this day, I truly believe, is that I am Mexican American best encapsulates what I am, because I am as much American as I am Mexican. And whether I'm accepted as one or the other in each country is a different thing from what I accept myself to be. So the term Chicano for me never fit my the way I identified, because for me anyway, and it could be different for someone who grew up in California, how they felt. For me, saying that I was Chicano meant that I was something different than a Mexican and different than an American. And for me, I think I am equally both. And to be American also means to be Mexican in America.
Mm.
And to be Mexican also means to be American, because even though Mexicans come to the US, Mexicans rely on the labor of their immigrants in the United States, and remittances in particular are a very big part historically of the economy of Mexico. And so both have a kind of symbiotic relationship, and that's why my identity anyway has always been shaped by that symbiosis, or whatever the term is, the dual, the dual part of it. So Chicano never really reflected. Now today, as a grown person, I reflect Chicano as a broader kind of defining things that encompasses anyone who's Mexican American. I would even say if you're not of Mexican descent but you're Latino, it probably represents you. Even maybe even Filipinos who are part of the movement of the farm worker movement could even embrace it if they so wanted to, right? But for me, that's why Cesar Chavez wasn't. I never thought of him growing up in Chicago as a hero or as a big person identity. The weird thing is that not the weird thing, but the interesting thing is that Cesar Chavez he's an agrarian leader, and that is not a foreign thing to Mexicans, because Mexican history is full of agrarian leaders, the most famous being Emiliano Zapata, who died during the Mexican Revolution. His what do you call it? I'm forgetting the word, but he believed in his slogan was land and freedom, tierra y libertad, right? And then there's a bunch of other agrarian leaders in Mexican history that a lot of them were assassinated. Like there's this big ballad of a guy named Jose Silva Sanchez, who in the Tamaulipas area was an agrarian leader. So this idea of agrarian leaders, it's not that it's very familiar to me, because I grew up listening to not only these ballads of these historic Mexican agrarian leaders, but also my family are from an agrarian background, right? My family comes not from city industrial workers, but from the countryside, people who labored the land, who labored the field. And so so you would think that I would identify a lot more with Cesar Chavez having this history and background, and yet somehow I didn't. But later in life, I did come to appreciate his nonviolence movement, the hunger strikes that he undertook, and I thought, ultimately the cause, la causa, the cause that he was for, was very noble, because it was about working poor people. It's very, very disappointing now to find out all these horrible accusations that seem to have a lot of credence to them. So I'm not as disappointed as maybe even someone like you, because you grew up generationally. That was somebody from your generation, because Bobby Kennedy embraced them, and so many people during that era embraced them. And because Cesar Chavez took on the teachings of Martin Luther King, who took the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. So even I think it was less of a disappointment for me, because I never put him that high up on a pedestal in the first place. And I think if I had grown up in California, it might have been a different story. But I think that the regionalness and the generational thing kind of mitigated the blow for me, because I never put him as high up on a pedestal as many other people would. So I think that's why I feel, I'm very disappointed, obviously, about the allegations, and to know that there's a lot of truth to them. There is truth to them. But it's not as big a blow to me, because I never felt him as big of a hero as he was to others.
Okay. So I've got two questions that that stem from that great riff of yours. And I guess I'll I'll ask the least significant one first. Uh, all right, so you say you're Mexican and American. By that, I understand that. So in the recent World Baseball Classic, who'd you root for,
Uh-huh.
Mexico or USA when they played?
When they play it, well, so it depends on the sport. If
Well, the
it's a
recent
sport,
baseball one,
yeah.
the one
So
that just
so
took place.
but as a preface to preface it is like, for example, if it's soccer, I root for Mexico because historically Mexico has been a far better fares far better at soccer than the U.S. Although that's not necessarily true anymore.
Mhm.
Um, in baseball to me is an American past is the American pastime. So I root for the U.S.
Wow, you actually distinguish. What about boxing?
Oh, boxing, dude, it's got to be Mexico.
No, wait a minute.
Although America has a great legacy in history, American fighters, but Mexicans and Mexican Americans, from Bobby Chacon to Salvador Sanchez to to Julio Cesar Chavez. I mean, another Chavez, right?
Oh my God,
Um,
another Chavez. Yeah.
I have to root for Mexicans.
I'm gonna
And then
resist.
Latinos. After that is like Latinos, any Puerto
Yeah.
Rican, South America, Central American. I
Oh,
have to root for them.
man, Duran, we're not gonna have this conversation now, but that
Right, right,
really
right,
opened my eyes.
right,
Well, you guys hating on Sugar Ray. You guys
right,
are all hating on
right,
Sugar Ray. All these Hispanic guys. You don't understand. And
right.
then I got my you don't understand, Ben. My first wave of you don't understand from Hispanic guys in Chicago. Dude, you're not Panamanian. That's what I understand, okay? And you don't like black people. All right. I understand
But
that.
while I'm at it, I would like to say another thing. Like at some point in my understanding of Cesar Chavez, I also did learn that he had a kind of a open and kind of a not very challenged disdain of Mexicans who would break his strikes. So what would happen is that the owners of these great fields and lettuce fields, etc., would hire undocumented workers oftentimes to
Mhm.
break through the strike lines. And the news people would interview Chavez, and he would refer to these undocumented workers as wetbacks.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but he would say it like with fucking disdain, right?
Yeah.
And like and that also always bothered me about Chavez because and it kind of maybe unfairly tarnished for me again the word Chicano because again if you're Chicano but you're not a wetback, my a lot of my family were undocumented and probably people called them wetbacks, and so that hit home as well. And so the fact that he um, had no problem using that word to talk about marginalized people,
Yeah.
from his community really, really fucking bothered me.
Yeah, he had an arrogance to him. There's no doubt about it, and a contempt for anyone who dared to defy him. And I mean, uh, there's a lot at stake if they brought in strike breakers. So obviously, I could see him having a lot of contempt for them.
Right, but to
Uh,
put the blame and disdain on the worker and not on the bosses who were bringing them over, that
yeah, because he's
that's
negotiating with the worker. The workers are just the pawns in a larger game. But
exactly,
I
exactly.
hear
And
what
for
you're
him to
saying.
take it out and for him to take it out on these marginalized individuals who are coming over basically hungry as well, I thought that was very short-sighted of him, but that was pretty cruel also.
Yes. So as a youngster, and I'm trying to picture you as young Adolfo in the '80s and the early '90s, growing up in Chicago and attending Curie High. Who were your Mexican heroes? If not Cesar Chavez, could you name three? I can name one. I'll name one. Fernando Valenzuela. Boom, one. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Fernando was definitely a hero of mine.
Yeah.
I think because of all the music and ballads and stuff, I mean, Zapata was definitely a hero of mine. Um, and if I had to think of another Mexican American,
Oh,
Oh,
unquestionably, your biggest hero was Congressman Jesus Garcia.
oh,
Uh,
yeah. I didn't. He didn't even exist in my radar, man. I mean, like
I couldn't do that
the
with a
dude
straight
wasn't
face.
that dude wasn't even a thought in my on my mind. But
Uh,
I think historically, we revered there's the last Aztec emperor is a guy. This is historically true. There's a guy named Cuauhtemoc, and in Mexican lore, he's been held up to a high pantheon because not only was he the last emperor, but when Cortez took him,
yes.
he tried to force, because Cortez was obsessed with this supposed gold, vast gold that the Aztecs had, which was farly exaggerated. He burned Cuauhtemoc's feet,
Yes.
and he wouldn't speak, he wouldn't talk, he wouldn't say anything about where the treasure was or whatever there was of treasure. um and so he's very much revered in Mexican culture, and growing up, so someone like that would be a hero of mine. So it'd be like
Okay.
Valenzuela, Zapata, and the last Aztec emperor, Cuauhtemoc.
Well, so all right, we're not going to go down this path, but I told you about this book by Alvaro Enrique, who is a Mexican novelist. And Adolfo, I know you read novels as well as nonfiction.
Yes.
A lot of my friends, I'm thinking of them in particular, like you can't get them to read a novel. It's just I've quit. I was like, well, it's got to be factual, Ben. I don't know why I'm wasting my time. But anyway, his previous book was "You Dream of Empires," and it's about Cortez meeting up with the emperor. And so I'm about to start reading that probably in a couple weeks. I think I'll send it to you as a gift, so we could do a show maybe on that. All right. So the other thing about Cesar Chavez, and you were the one who brought this to my attention. So, okay, let me just preface this. Adolfo knows this. I said it off mic to him, but I'm off Instagram. It's been over a month. I'm very proud of that. So, if someone sends me text me a link to an Instagram piece, a bit, I will click on it so I can see it, and then maybe riff on it. But I'm not following it. I feel really good about that decision. And so I'm not exposed to internet chatter in a way that I was a month ago. And so I was much more in tune with what's going on the internet world that back then, and I'm lost right now. And so Adolfo will from time to time send me stuff. We're going to get into Netanyahu. I don't even know this stuff's going on because like the, I read the conventional newspapers, the Washington Post, the New York Times. I scan the Bright One and the Tribunal here for local news, right, Block Club, etc. To keep up what's going on in the local news. Cranes to see what corporate Chicago is trying to stuff down our throats, and I'm missing the internet chatter, which means I missed the Netanyahu. Is he dead or alive? We'll get into that. But the second one that you alerted me to about how Cesar Chavez is somehow the victim here, and there's this nefarious attempt by I don't know, man. This is such a reach, ladies and gentlemen. I'm having a hard time
Yeah.
even putting it together, but like a combination of Dolores Huerta and her followers and people at their foundation and the New York Times are all sort of ganging, according to this conspiracy theory that's being put forth to besmirch the reputation of Cesar Chavez. So I read an article that's dedicated to this theme, and they do something like, yeah, this could be true, and it would be horrible if true, but why are you bringing this up now? And New York Times, why are you spending so much energy? Why'd you devote so much energy to this story at this time? It's very peculiar. And I'm like, man, Adolfo, I'm like, why do people like have this instinctive urge to say something stupid. I don't know what else to say, man.
Well,
I do not understand.
I
Go
think
ahead.
this is kind of an example of the same thing that happens to MAGA people when they're confronted with, well, what about gas prices and what about this? And they're so mad about it, but they can't admit that they bought into something for so long and the disappointment. So they say like, give them more time, or the news is lying about gas prices or whatever. So I think this is kind of a very similar reaction. So I get it that it's hard if Chavez was your hero, particularly if you put him way up on a pedestal, and you change your identity of being Chicano or Mexican in America to this guy and his movement. And although it does what these allegations don't uh, invalidate the movement itself, they invalidate this hero that you've made a cult figure.
Yeah.
And it hurts if you see a guy like Governor Abbott salivating to just tear this guy the fuck to the ground, right? Because there's bad news is obviously great news for the opposition, people who don't like identity politics, etc., right?
Yeah.
People who are talking about how, like, well, why do you have to be Mexican American? Why just can't you be an American? Or why do you have to be Chicano or whatever, right? So I get it. It hurts to give in a, tied in a bow ribbon, something that these conservative assholes will salivate over and be like, you see, we're gonna tear this fucker down and we're gonna take the name off of every building and street or whatever, right? But but then they concede in these articles that, well, there is a lot of evidence in the New York Times articles, letters that seem to,
Yes.
letters, emails, testimony, blah blah blah, that seem to indicate that he did do all these horrible things. But we should always consider why the timing, who's behind this. And I'm just like, give it up, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter where it came from. If in fact you're conceding that these allegations have some veracity to them, or are very likely to be true, then just fucking accept it and deal with it the right way.
Yeah.
So what if the MAGA movement doesn't put down pedophiles on their side? The right thing is the right thing, and just eat it and fucking take it down. And
that's
but
a
don't
great
come up
rep.
with these weird. Don't come up with these weird, like, well, who's behind this?
I'll tell you what. I'm watching this unfold in the MAGA world on the war in Iran. It's like I'm watching Tucker Carlson and Candy Owens and Joe Rogan and the rest of them. They can't bring themselves to denounce Trump. They just can't do it. So they're like, Israel did it. Israel did it. I'm like, guys, I'm with you 100% that Israel's up to no good in the Middle East. You don't have to convince me of that. But stop blaming Israel for something your boy did, okay? You can't. Come on, Joe Rogan. Denounce Trump. Can't do it. Can't do it. Come on, Candy Owens. Can't do it. It's Israel. It's Israel. So I'm hearing you, man. I'm watching this guy's. Oh my! Israel made him do it. He's a great president. Israel made him do it. Yeah, Israel made him do it. They make him invade Venezuela. Did they make him do that? So I hear you, man. I hear what you're saying. They can't confront. Wow, they can't confront the truth.
I mean, to this day, even Democrats can't admit that they threw Monica Lewinsky under the bus when they sided with Trump.
I can name one Democrat who does.
Who?
Me. I do it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Like, all these mainstream Democrats,
no, they can't.
They're like, well,
you're right.
shit,
You're right.
Just collateral, damage and shit. But I mean, I remember
they're a little better at it than
I was working at the ACLU in Illinois at the time, and I can tell you without naming names, but I heard conversations from the attorneys saying things like, well, if I came out of your office kind of tugging at my shirt, that doesn't mean that you did something bad to me. And I'm like, come on, girl, you're not supporting your girl Monica here. You're siding with Bill just because.
I'm with you 100% on this one. God, now you drag me down. I'm always ready to talk about Bill Clinton, the sleaze bag, but I'm with you 100% that you're right. The Democrats stayed loyal to that guy, and all he did was just go back into the mud. Soon as he as soon as he escaped impeachment, what did he do? He's jumping on airplanes with Jeffrey Epstein. And then I knew nothing. I didn't know anything. I know. You're right. And Democrats, you're right. They defend him. It's that need. You're right.
So anyone out there still defending Cesar Chavez, just give it up.
Yeah,
accept it as an L, and and we recognize your disappointment, and it's fucked up that this guy misled us, but just mark it as an L and move on, and maybe be more careful the next time, right?
And same thing to you, Dems. With Clinton. Come on, let it go. All right.
Yeah,
admit
exactly.
He's bag and admit that he violated everything you supposedly believe in. I'm with you on that one. All right. Now let's get to Netanyahu.
All right. And here we go.
This is so Adolfo turned this one. So this is a classic. This is the second time this has happened in about 2 months, where Adolfo picked up on something on the internet before I did. Now, the first time he picked up on it, I was still following I was still on Instagram, so I really have no excuse. And that was, of course, Clinton. Oh my God, it was Billy Clinton.
Yeah, it was the Epstein files, the email about Bubba.
Bubba, yeah. Adolfo's texting me. You see this about Bubba? A blowjob to Trump? Like, what? So, okay, we've already discussed it. I wrote about it. I had a field day with it. This second one, it caught me completely off guard. And right now, there's a lot of discussion, and some of it comes from the same MAGA forces who cannot bring themselves to criticize Trump for getting us involved in bombing the hell out of Iran. So they don't want to look in the mirror. So this one, and it also lefties have been putting it out that Netanyahu is not alive. That in fact Netanyahu died early on after the bombing began. I think it's a drone strike. That's just one of the theories I've seen thrown out there. But somehow or other, the Iranians pierced the defense guards that the Israel has to protect themselves against incoming missiles, and had a direct strike. And then you get into the deep dive of the videos. And so when Adolfo alerted me this, I said, Adolfo, I don't know if you smoke reefer, but if you do, you're smoking too much, man. So I said, well, I'll go check it out. I wasted about an hour of my life looking at footage of Netanyahu with the coffee, and does he have 6 fingers, and does he have 5 fingers? And then I read the Jewish press's attempt to mock this stuff, and say he's still alive. But I gotta say, having made fun of all you conspiracy theorists out there, I don't think I've seen Netanyahu in a live press conference, Adolfo, as we speak. So by the time you hear this, it may appear at a press conference. But as we speak on Tuesday, I don't think I can't recall seeing him other than in these little staged video clips. And I'm at the point now, Adolfo, with AI, I don't believe anything anymore. You know what I'm saying? And you sent me that last video you sent me was on many levels an eye-opener. So I'll turn it over to you. Do you actually believe that Netanyahu is dead, or you're just open to the possibility that he is gone?
I'm very open to the possibility. Well, let me preface this again, too. Post the Trump Epstein files and all the shit that's in there, revealing that there were individuals that trafficked children and that engaged in rituals and all this other stuff. I don't know that I can dismiss every single conspiracy. Obviously, some of them are laughable and you can debunk, immediately. But this one caught my eye because there was a couple of factors that gave credence to it. So the theory is that on a particular day, some Indian journalist, a guy from India, was trying to get a soundbite from Netanyahu. So he'd been trying for days and he'd been following him around and doing live broadcasts. And that the Iranian government caught on to this, and that they saw a particular day this Indian reporter go live, and they figured out where it was at, and they send a drone or a missile or something to bomb the building. And right around that time, Bassett was giving an interview with Sky TV, the British broadcasting company. And in the middle of this interview, someone interrupts Bassett and's like, the president needs to see you immediately. So they stopped the interview. And this is true. This was being filmed. And then sometime later, Bassett comes back, and he the interviewer is like, oh, well, that's crazy. I've never had somebody being pulled away because the president needs to see them urgently. Is everything okay? And Bassett's like, oh, yes, everything is clearly rattled and nervous. And he's like, oh, yes, everything is great with the president. And he's nodding no as he's talking. And if you know anything about behavioralism and stuff, it's like when somebody is nodding no, but they're saying yes, that means that they really mean no. And he's clearly shaken. So that occurs like sometime hours after this alleged strike that kills Netanyahu. Also, these conspiracy theorists also know that if you go online and it's public information, you can look up the flight tracking of almost any airplane in the world, including Netanyahu's plane, which is, what is it, like the Eagle of Zion or something like that? I forget what they call it, just like they call Air Force One and Air Force Two for the president and for the vice president, or whenever the president's not on board or whatever. And they show the flight pattern on that day, leaving Tel Aviv and flying around the sea. I think it's the Sea of Galilee or whatever the body of water is outside of Israel. My geography is not great these days, but circles around for like 4 hours and then makes its way towards Europe and eventually lands in Berlin. And apparently the official explanation from the Israeli government is that, it was just basic military maneuvers. We do this all the time. No one of importance was on that plane. And that's why. So they don't deny that this plane actually took off, did 4 hours of circling before it left off. And it's important to note that this airplane has like a medical room, and you could stabilize individuals and put them in comas and do all sorts of stuff. So if somebody was injured on the ground and you wanted to whisk them away to another country to get medical attention, this is the way you would do it. And so that also corresponds with the timing of it. And so I was like intrigued. I was like, okay, well, what proof is there that Netanyahu is actually around? We haven't seen him, And so then the Israeli government starts putting these videos that are clearly AI generated, and like you could go to that Grok or whatever that app is, and they'll tell you like what percentage it thinks it's AI, and they'll say like 98% AI, and people break them down. Look, there's 5 fingers, 6 fingers here. There's no wedding ring band. Look, his mouth has this many teeth, and then all of a sudden has less teeth, and it's like there's so many signs of AI, because if you've looked at AI stuff, it's not perfect. There's telltale signs that it's AI, oftentimes, of a picture being edited or whatever, because something doesn't it doesn't form the body correctly, or the wording on something, like a shirt that's supposed to say polo will say ply or something like that, So they do that first. They release that first video. So then the Israeli government is like feeling the heat. So they release another video where Netanyahu's like out in the woods somewhere, and he's like talking to girls, and he's like, I am alive. Look, I have 5 fingers. And then they do an analysis of that, and that's fucking AI too. And then they're like, there was a video like 3 years ago of the same shit, and so then the Israeli government releases another one where now they're supposed to be mocking him in the coffee shop. He's like, oh, look, I am alive today. Look, I'm at the coffee shop. Come in and get some coffee. And look, I have 5 fingers. But if you analyze that one, the register says something like 2024. The coffee never fucking spills. Even when he drinks it, it never goes down below level. The perfectly little leaf of white foam that they make on top of the coffee never erases the image. So again, they're not doing themselves any favors by putting all this phony bullshit AI stuff. And then they do another one where apparently he's talking to who's that Arkansas fucking hillbilly who's out there in Jerusalem right now?
Huckabee.
Huckabee. He's like, oh, the president sent me to make sure you're alive. And they're like, oh, I am alive. And they look at that video, and that video is all fucking AI and shit. And so it's just like, motherfuckers, you know what? Just send Netanyahu to Washington, D.C., and have somebody from the New York Times actually go and touch his ass and be like, you're alive. But until he comes out somewhere and you could like verifiably say that it's him in person, I don't know. I'm having my mind open that this motherfucker is dead.
Okay.
And the other thing that was suspicious was that Netanyahu's kid apparently goes on X and puts a bunch of tweets every day, like tons of them.
Yes.
The day this allegedly happened, this motherfucker stopped tweeting and hasn't been on there since, or for a good many days wasn't on.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, why all of a sudden did you shut up, man? You know, so what's going on?
Yeah, that you did. The AI stuff is truly, wow.
But I love how the New York Times is like, oh, the coffee thing was definitively proof that he was alive. I'm like, wait, don't you know? Why don't you talk about all the fucking AI shit in there?
Here's the weird thing about that, and there's so much about the New York Times. On one hand, I always praise it and thank the reporters who do such a great work. And the other hand, I just mock the hell out of it because in some ways it's a caricature of itself. But in regards to conspiracy theories and stuff that bursts on the internet, they have this attitude of contempt that they don't want to give credence to it. And so, and I this is what I was telling you, that when the Clinton Trump Bubba thing broke, the New York, I don't think the New York, to this day, I'm not even sure if the New York Times has covered it. I remember at the time, in real time, saying the reason I don't know about this, I blame the New York Times. The reason I don't know about this, Adolfo, is it wasn't in the New York Times.
Right. I remember that.
You know, I remember. I'm like,
yep.
They just like, well, what are we going to do? Like, the entire internet is talking about this. I don't know, maybe cover it. I know it's beneath you.
I think they finally covered it when Epstein's brother addressed it and said it wasn't Bill Clinton, but it was a horse named Bubba.
They may have done that. But when the brother first came out, I remember I put it in the story I wrote. I go, they still haven't. They didn't report on the initial, and they still haven't reported on the brother coming out. So, you know, it's maybe they have. I've stopped following it. So maybe they have by now.
Yeah, but what I pointed out to you was what bothered me about the New York Times just accepting that Netanyahu was alive, like it was nothing, was that their proof was that there supposedly was scheduled meetings in Israel where Netanyahu was seen. So it was secondhand bullshit from somebody who attended the meeting who said, oh, I was there and I saw him. Well, I'm not going to fucking believe you.
Yeah.
You know?
So, okay, guys. And then you can't help yourself. Everything that's even roughly resembling this kind of story turns into Weekend at Bernie's, which I gotta watch that movie again, Adolfo. I remember not thinking it was that great when I first saw it, but maybe it's like improved with time, you know. It's such a great concept, though. Weekend at Bernie's, but here I'll put it to you this way. If I'm going to plug it into a larger problem, if you will, it is that there is so much lying going on.
Yes.
By people who are supposedly delivering us the truth, that it's hard to believe them. And in this particular case, the government of Trump and the government of Netanyahu are notorious. Notorious. You can't believe anything they say. And it's not like I'm going to say everything that comes out of the spokesperson's mouths of the Israeli government and the U.S. government are lies. But if it's the truth, it's either just a convenience for that moment. Okay. It's, we'll tell the truth here because it works to our advantage, or it's an accident. So that's the heart of it, Adolfo. That's why it's believable to think that something as nutty on the surface as them pretending a man who's dead is alive
Right.
A prominent man.
Well,
Not
the
just any
scary
old
part,
Joe.
the
Yeah,
scary
go ahead.
part is that if this is true, okay, which probably maybe it's not, right? Or it's not until it's proven that it's true. If this is true, this I'm afraid of what the Trump administration would do if, in fact, Trump, who is old as fuck and sick, becomes incapacitated and or dies. Will they now then want to do the same thing that Israel, if this is true that Israel's doing this, do the same thing? Because the Trump administration already has lied about Trump's health.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
When he went missing in September for 10 days and wasn't around, and they said that he went and got this you know a checkup or something like that. I mean, there are many people and medical professionals who think that he either had a stroke or had a mini stroke or had some kind of um, event, medical emergency event, and that post that time after Labor Day, that there were physical manifestations of it in his face, some drooping, his slurry speech, et cetera, et cetera. And so that may have already they've been lying to us about the extent of his health, and they may be really lying about how bad of a shape he's in.
Yeah.
So if this is true that Israel's doing this, I'm afraid of what this government would do if the day comes that Trump becomes incapacitated, like brain dead or something, or he just dies. Will they opt to do this for a day, for 2 days, for 3 days? How long would this masquerade go for? And would they do these AI bullshit things where or just rely on True Social to be like, see, I'm still alive. I'm still putting shit on True Social.
That's yes. To answer your question, would they do this? Yes, they would do this until they figured out what their next move was. And it's not, if I can go back in history, everything relates to something that I saw in Chicago. That's I have to. That is an absolute truth. I've been covering Chicago politics for so long, Adolfo, that whenever I see something in the outside world, meaning outside of Chicago, I go, "Oh, I saw that in Chicago." Blah blah blah. To this point, 2006. Look it up. I think it was 2006. I could get the year. I'm pretty sure it was 2006. Cook County Board President John Stroger had a very severe stroke.
Yes.
And oh my God, I don't want to laugh because I like John Stroger. I'm one of the few, probably the only Northside Democrat who actually liked John Stroger. Thought he did a good job. Anyway, I don't want to laugh because he had a stroke, but they propped him up like he was still alive. But that was before AI.
Right.
It's just emissaries coming in out of the hospital. Oh yeah, I saw President Stroger. He was president of the Cook County. I saw President Stroger. Meanwhile, they're like, all right, who's going to replace him? Who's going to take his place?
Right.
And then he ran in the primary. They ran him in the primary. Remember that against Forrest Claypool? Yeah. And very proud of the fact I voted for Stroger. Very proud of that fact. I voted for the guy who was,
even though he had a stroke.
Yeah, I voted for him. Proud of it. Who did you vote for? You were old. You were of age. You could have voted. Do you even remember?
I probably voted for Stroger. I don't think I would have ever voted non-Democrat in those days.
No, it's a primary. Forrest Claypool, Daley's guy. Oh, it was weird.
Yeah.
It was like,
I don't think I voted for I don't think I ever liked Claypool ever. So.
That was the one where, if I could just close with this, guys, they're both Daley guys, Stroger and Claypool. One was white from the north side who goes, I am a reformer. And the other one was a black guy who goes, finally, we have some patronage that helps my community. Okay. And all these white people on the north side go, I am outraged by the patronage of John Stroger's machine. I am going to vote for Forrest. Well, what about Daley's patronage? Well, that's different. He's the mayor. And what a great, brilliant man he is. Northsiders are so weird. Anyway, I when you first told me, we'll close with this. When you first told me about your Netanyahu theory, I was like, you are nuts, man. You are smoking too much reefer. But you know what? At this stage, there are lies
I do
so
not
much.
Smoke reefer. I never have, just to put it out there. I've never have. I'm proudly say one of the guys who I've never even tried it. And that's true. That's not like Bubba Clinton, who
No, it's not Bubba. You do not inhale.
Now, I've never even inhaled the motherfucker. So,
so when I say that Adolfo is smoked too much reefer, I'm speaking metaphorically.
Yes,
okay?
metaphorically. But I want people out there to know that.
Look, I am not hiring him as an attorney. He smokes reefer. Do you know some of the greatest attorneys smoke reefer? Did you know?
Oh, that? I bet. Oh, I don't discriminate. I don't get prejudice against people who do. I'm just saying I never have.
Okay. And I apologize, but it is
no. I know you're saying it metaphorically. I'm just saying people out there might not know.
Okay. I think it sounds better to say you've been smoking too much reefer than saying you've been hitting the bottle too much.
No, absolutely.
So anyway, when he first said it, I thought you were nuts, but now I'm sort of like, I don't know. God. And
but I guess the overarching thing here, like we were saying, is that people politically have lied to us all the time. People during the Vietnam War lied.
Yes.
People during Iraq 1, Iraq 2 lied. I mean, but I think that instead of the lying going away and becoming less of an issue, it's become more of an issue, and technology now plays a hand in it. And so whether it's a rumor or allegations about a guy who we put up on a pedestal, or it's an administration, conducting a war without congressional approval, whatever. The lying has gotten worse, and you cannot decipher the truth from the lies because it becomes so difficult to tell what is true and what is not.
Yes. And just a couple points to close the show. What Adolfo was getting at before, would people respond indirectly to a direct question, is what they call a non-denial denial, where you effectively deny something without actually denying it. And that's classic. And if you're a reporter trying to make sense out of what your politicians are up to, you quickly learn what a non-denial denial is. And then the other one that I learned from the Reagan years is plausible deniability. That Reagan mastered that with the Iran Contra deal, which too much history, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry, I'm not going to explain to you millennials what that is. You have to, if you're interested, look it up. Otherwise, I'll get to it another day. All right, Adolfo, great show. So much fun talking to you, as always. Thanks. And when I'm reading that book about Cortez, when it's done, I'm going to send it to you.
And I have one for you by Carlos Fuentes that I'm reading right now in Spanish. It's one of the last ones that he published that I wasn't even aware of until I found the book. But I think in English, the title is The Eagle's Chair. Basically, it's about the presidency of Mexico in the future, which is now. When he wrote this 20 years ago, he based it like, what would the presidency of Mexico be like now? And it's a terrific book. I'm going to get you the translation. Okay. So that's my gift to you.
It has been translated?
Yeah, I think it has been translated,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, very good. Adolfo Mondragón is his name. El Dragon is his nickname, and a dear friend. Thank you very much, Adolfo. I also want to thank producer Chris. He does an outstanding job, and he doesn't smoke marijuana at all. not even metaphorically, okay? And I think Adolfo agrees with me to say, hey, producer Chris, give yourself a raise. Take it out of petty cash. Peace and love, everybody. Take care, Adolfo.